We're supposed to like 3, 2, 1 or like something like that?
Sure.
Sure. 3, 2, 1. Let's try.
That was so close.
So close. Hi, this is Matt Basham. I am candidate for Herriman City Council in District 3, and welcome to the People of the Pulse. We're here with Mayor Palmer. Thanks for joining us.
Good to be here. Thanks for
Awesome.
the invite. Yeah.
So the point of our little series here is to get to know the people that make up the heartbeat of Herriman. And I can't think of a better kickoff episode than to talk with Mayor Palmer. Mayor Palmer, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Oh my word. So I'm originally from Price, grew up in Price, Utah. Been in Herriman now 14 years now. This year will be 14 years. Father of 5, 4 older kids that are all grown and gone. And then my little caboose, you'll see Cohen around with me everywhere. He's my little caboose.
Mini Mayor?
Mini Mayor, he likes to be called jokingly. He hates it most days, but you know, I'm a stay-at-home dad right now after you know, a very successful sales career. I was in sales, industrial sales. Cohen was our little kind of a surprise, pleasant surprise later on. He's 8 now, but he was kind of a surprise. So when he was born, we were trying to decide what to do, and actually my wife has a great career. I'm so proud of what she does. So we decided that I would try the stay-at-home dad thing, and that's where we're at. You know, 8 years later, I still do that, and technically, I guess I'm part-time mayor on the side / full-time mayor, but really it's allowed me to get into this now. I've loved the first term, and really him being a stay-at-home dad allowed me to do this, because I don't know if I would be able to do this with my sales career still.
So you are finishing up your first term as mayor. What were some of the considerations you had for wanting to run for mayor?
You know, it was community-driven. I joke about this, but I do. I'm not a politics guy. I don't like the politics. But I like being in the community. I love this community. I love this city. I was involved kind of as a resident with some development stuff. We were concerned about some growth in the area, like many people were. And so I just got involved back then, got on the planning commission back in 2019, and then decided to throw my hat in the ring for mayor a few years ago. And here we are. Absolutely love it. Been an amazing experience.
So after the election and your win, what were kind of the first items that you wanted to tackle first as mayor?
Oh my word. So I think the great thing was 4 years ago, I think as a community, we all knew what we were wanting, right? We were concerned about growth. We knew, not necessarily anti-growth, but we were concerned about infrastructure. We were concerned about traffic. We were concerned about enough roads out here to support the growth. We wanted more businesses in the city, right? All of that was, you know, we're still here a little bit of that today, right? But those were the concerns we were facing back then. And so we went to work on that right away. You know, and understanding a lot of that work was already, you know, I think a lot of people want me to brag about our 4 years, but a lot of this work happens over years, right? It really does. You know, there's a lot of people that have gone before me that have helped lay the groundwork to things happening now. So, but those are the things we focused on as a council. We're pretty united with that front in those efforts. So really it's all come together, and I think we've done a lot in those spaces in the last 4 years.
Give us a little quick status report of maybe the state of Herriman, and maybe highlight some of the things that you've been able to accomplish in your first term.
Oh my word. Well, you warned me, you'd ask me to brag a little bit, right? And I'm not good at that, because it's a we. I always say we, because there's staff involved, there's all the council. Like, nothing is me, but I will say there's major roads we've opened, 132nd, 138th, they're major east-west. Of course, they're not as big east-west as we would like, but they're done. They help. They're absolutely helping. We've secured a ton of money, about $250 million in other infrastructure money for, they're projects that you're not seeing yet that are going to come out of the ground that are going to help with the Olympia development, for example. A lot of that, over $150 million, has been secured from outside sources for that area. And really the focus out there is kind of the north-south onto Bacchus, hoping that, and everybody says, well, how does that help east-west? It helps because hopefully some residents on the west side of the city can get north and south without having to come through the city, right? So those are the things we've worked on. We've worked with UDOT to accelerate the completion of Mountain View Corridor to a freeway, right? They're going to start that the end of 27, right? And that was, when I took office, that was a 2030 project at least. But we've worked with them to say, like, listen, the growth is here, we need this faster. So they're going to start that in 27 from Porter Rockwell up through Old Bingham. So that's a huge part, with Bangetter getting done and that, like, we're 5 years away from really seeing a change in infrastructure. And then, the timing is good. The businesses, we've seen 100 brick and mortars open their doors in 4 years, which is a big deal. And then, of course, we just announced Target, which is our anchor in the Commons at Herriman Town Center. And there's more tenants coming. There's a lot of announcements coming out of that still to come, but that's a great anchor. And I know no matter how you feel about Target or whatever, that it's tax base. It's all about sales tax base, and that's what we need. As a matter of fact, yesterday, my son and I drove around the city taking pictures of everything coming out of the ground in Herriman, commercial-wise. Unbelievable what we're going to see, from restaurants to shopping to just services. Like, everything is coming out of the ground. Herriman is under construction right now in a lot of ways, right? We're seeing it on the roads, right? But also commercial. It's coming out of the ground everywhere, and it's an exciting time. We joke at the City Hall, it's kind of the golden age for our community, where all these projects we've been working on for 4 years are starting to come to fruition right now.
From your point of view, what are some things that are left to be done?
Left to be done. Still, infrastructure is still going to be a focus forever. We've still got, I don't know the answer to east-west. Some of those, those roads are set, right? That is a concern, but we do need to, we've got to improve 126 still. That will be a crazy busy road in a few years with Olympia. We've got to, I don't know if it's widening it but that's some crazy traffic from our main street out to Bangetter. We've got to do something in that east-west there. 134th as well. There's improvements coming to 134, but we've got to do some east-west stuff. We've got to do something there. So that's a major concern still. Still businesses to develop, still all of that. We've got to finish out the fiber projects we're working on. I think getting fiber to every home in our city, options for fiber is still something. Even though we've approved our agreement with All West, now we've got to make sure that happens, that comes to fruition. So a lot still to be done, right? There's still a lot where we need tax base, and that's what we're focused on, is quite a bit there. So,
what is the toughest part about being mayor of Herriman City?
Oh my word. I tend to be a people pleaser, right? That is, I do. I'm admitting that that's kind of a weakness, but it's hard that every decision, there's two things I would say. Sometimes every decision, half the people aren't going to agree with your decision, half are going to like your decision, right? And that's hard, right? Knowing that you're going to try to make the best decision that you believe, and you're still listening. But that ties into my second point. I see sometimes where, I called the mayor and he brought something up to him and it fell on deaf ears, right? I've seen that a couple times, and it's hard because just because we couldn't fix something right away doesn't mean it fell on deaf ears, right? It just absolutely, some of the things in government, I've had to learn patience too. Government just works slow, unfortunately. It doesn't matter what we do to speed things up. There's certain requirements that has to go through a certain number of meetings. That's state law, right? There's certain things that have to be noticed, and there's all these things, and it takes time. And so we have to be patient. I look at Juniper. Like Juniper, we've talked about Juniper Crest being finished for a long time, and those residents up there they're frustrated, and rightfully so. If I lived at the end of Juniper and I could see Mountain View Corridor from my backyard and wondering why has the city not finished this, right? Valid frustration, right? But it's not we're not the property owner. The city hasn't owned that property. We still don't. We are securing the right of way. That road will be done, right, in the next year, right? That is now all in the works to be done over the next 12 months. And that's not political speak. That's not campaign promising. That's literally, we've been working on that because it's a focus for ours as well. So getting people to understand, I guess, that just because things don't happen right away doesn't mean we're not listening or that we don't care. Like, we drive on the same roads. We carry the same frustrations. We're doing what we can. Budgets are tight. There's still a financial component. I wish I could promise the world with, fancy parks everywhere, nice parks, but there's a budgetary component there that plays a role, unfortunately. So,
What's the best part?
oh my word. This is going to sound so cliche, but it's the people. It absolutely, and I tell everybody, you give me a hard time when you come to my lunches, right? But I do these weekly lunches, right? And, sometimes I stand up but some of these friendships that I made there, I don't know that I knew anybody before I started these lunches, right? It's over 4 years now that we've been doing these every single week. And the people I've met there, because some come and go, and they come back. But it's the people in Herriman. Herriman is absolutely an amazing community with so many amazing people that just want to make a difference. And we're all coming together through this. Like, if you've been here more than 10 years, you're one of the old timers now in Herriman, right? So you've got a lot of new people that are wanting to come make this their home, their long-term community. And so there's a lot of people wanting to make an impact out here. And it's just trying to funnel all that, but that's the fun part.
So speaking of people, I feel one of the most important things as a responsibility as a city council is to foster an atmosphere in which people can feel part of the community, right? I've kind of coined the phrase, the heartbeat of Herriman, which is kind of the community spirit that Herriman has. Like, what are your general thoughts just on that?
And you're not wrong. You're absolutely right. When I was knocking doors 4 years ago, everybody, and even at my lunches, everybody wants to know how they can be involved. Everybody does. I think the vast majority of people want to be involved in their community. So it's finding a way to involve those people in their passions, finding what is their passion, how do they use that passion to build this community, and that's what we're trying to do. I love being out, right? Not every city council member or mayor feels like being out like I am is the right way to do it, and that's okay, right? That's me though. That's what I love doing. I love being out there trying to create that community. I think it's so important. I just kind of refer to it. We've grown. We've got to try to. It's impossible to keep that small town feel forever. I wish we could, right? I think all of us wish we could. We all yearn, I guess, for the good old days. When I moved out here, there were only 20,000 of us. It was different, 13 years ago. We all yearn for those days where we knew more people at Smith's, and there's sometimes I go to Smith's and I don't see anybody I know, right? Which is, 15 years ago. I
almost to believe that. Everybody.
Which I try, but that's, to my point though, that's what's crazy is we're that kind of a city now where we've got to try to hold on to that, and it's not through the city's not the answer to that. It's the people, but I think where the city council can come in is kind of taking the lead in that and just driving that and leading out by example in that space.
What do you feel the citizens or our individual community members can do to help foster the heartbeat of Herriman?
Oh my word, that is a great question. It starts in your neighborhoods. 100% starts in your neighborhoods. I think we hear a lot, what the city this, the city that, the city, like, what can the city do? Like, it starts in your neighborhoods, right? Create neighborhood groups, right? I look at the one group I always point to, and there's several now, but I go back to Solemn Way. Everybody knows Solemn Way up off of Butterfield Parkway, where they do the lights, the Christmas lights over. They used to do a summer, I think they still do, right? I used to go to it every summer, but they do a summer party, right? Then they all get together and do their Christmas lights over the street type of thing, and kind of they all decorate for Christmas. Like, those are the type of things that can happen in every neighborhood that don't have to be facilitated by the city, right? And that, once you start in your neighborhood and then it leads in, then it can be a little bit bigger, and then just that's the way we're all going to get to know each other but it starts neighbor to neighbor, next door neighbor. Like, it starts there. It's not the city, it's the people starting at the grassroots level, if you will.
What inspires you about the community of Herriman?
Oh my word. I hate to keep going back to the people, but there's just the people, the passion for this community. There's a passion out here. We've got I think we all know we have a very active social media presence out here. People are passionate about, sometimes it comes through in upset ways. People are frustrated, there's frustration, but there's a passion. People care about this community. And even, every time we announce something, I miss, a lot of people, I miss the old days, right? But man, We do, right? We all do, but that's not coming from a negative position. That's coming from somebody that just cares about this community and cares about what it was and is seeing some changes, right? But it's the passion in this community, the goodness. Every time somebody needs something, like, people step up in this community. I've seen that over and over again.
Talk about maybe some examples that you saw, given that horrible incident that we had with the traffic collision that resulted in the major damage and then ultimate, explosion, and the loss of Jimmy John's and Domino's Pizza and
great clips.
Great, it's not great. Supercuts.
Yep.
Thank you very much.
Yep.
I saw and heard like many examples of the community stepping up. What did you see in here?
It's funny because the first day on the news was the awfulness of it, right? The scary side of it, the notification side, the evacuation. But then after that, I started hearing story after story after story of miracles that truly came out of that. The heroes that stepped in to pull the couple out of the car, to the manager at Jimmy John's that heard the collision, came out, realized the employees at Domino's didn't know what it was, right? I guess rumor has it they thought it was a soda, some soda exploding in their back room, right? So they had kind of moved on, so pulling them out, and then a couple of bystanders stepping in to help pull them out, and then just the people that have reached out say, how can we help? How can we help the employees that lost, have been relocated? How do we support those businesses? Last night even, how long? People are wondering how long till we can, because we want to do a big celebration when they come back, right? So people are wanting to be a part of this. That's the side of this community that absolutely, so much good has come out of what it could have been a tragic incident. So much good has come out of that. And that's how a good community responds that way to tragic, tragedies like that.
As we wrap up, do you have any, final thoughts for us?
Oh my gosh, serving has been, truly has been a privilege. It's not, you don't get into this there's no glory from this. There's really not. When my time comes, I'll be done. I'll fade in, I'll walk into the sunset with my family. There's no, our job is to do what we can to make this a better community in your time, and then you pass it off, right? So I've loved serving with our city council. It's just a privilege to serve the residents, that's what we're doing. We're serving the residents. It's not about us. We're serving the residents, trying to represent them at every level. And to be able to go sit on some of these committees and say, when they ask you to introduce yourself, Mayor Palmer and I represent Herriman. That's not representing me. I try to think about as many people as I can in those moments that I'm representing, to try to, whether it bring money for roads or every situation, it's representing, feeling like there's 60,000 people relying on me to do the best we can for them. But it's truly an honor that I will never forget and never take for granted.
That's awesome. You are running for re-election.
I am.
So most of us are well aware of you and know a little bit about you. However, where can somebody that needs to learn a little bit more go to find out more information?
Oh, thank you. I love that. So I'm active on social media. I think most people know that. I do have Instagram, Lorin Palmer for Mayor, or for Herriman, I think it is. I get all the handles. Lorin Palmer for Herriman on Instagram. You can follow my regular page, Herriman Mayor, on Instagram, and then I've got Lorin Palmer for Herriman Facebook page. A lot of stuff there. I've got a website. You can find me on my website with all my visions and goals, because we still got work to do. We're not, definitely don't get done with what you want to get done in 4 years, but then we'll be knocking doors starting here in a little bit. So look forward to meeting people, and reach out to me if you want me to come knock on your door, honestly, because I'll prioritize that, right? But I'm going to try to come to you. I'm going to try to meet the people where they are on their front door as much as I can over the next 4 to 5 months. I
think one of the best ways maybe to get to know you is to come out to a Wednesday lunch and break some bread with somebody. I love breaking bread and eating and getting to know somebody. That's my favorite thing to do. So how can people find out more? There's a Facebook page.
Facebook page called Herriman WFH, not to be confused with the other W, abbreviation. So Herriman WFH, and we post a weekly schedule every Wednesday at noon. Come on out. We post where we're at weekly. That's why you're doing what you're doing. We met at one of these lunches.
We met at one of those lunches. That's how I got to know you.
Yep. And we've become friends, and now saw an opening here and talked you into it, and here you are.
Here I am.
So,
And I'm happy to be here.
and good luck to you as well.
I appreciate that. Well, we appreciate Mayor Palmer spending some time with us, getting to learn a little bit about him and his thoughts about how Herriman is such a special place to be part of this community, to live, work, and play. We appreciate you guys taking the time to watch this first episode of The People of the Pulse, and you are definitely one of those people, and we appreciate your service and your time to the city of Harriman.
Good luck, man.
Appreciate you. Thank you.
Thanks, man.